Right, brother, if you're somebody who is stressed with your lack of results, you're not seeing the scale weight move, nothing is really progressing in life, then I just want to take your attention away from the training, away from the nutrition, just for the next few moments, because this is the law of detachment, right? And if you haven't heard of it, I just want to break this down for you as simply as possible, because a lot of the time we can train hard, we can eat clean, we can try and improve ourselves, but it doesn't mean things are actually going to change. It's extremely important to understand this concept and how this works, because I tried for many, many years to get into shape. I've been through setbacks, injuries, vices, being out of shape, skinny, fat, the lot, right? And before I became a personal trainer, for a good 2 or 3 years, I was trying to get into shape. And I didn't see the scale weight move once. You know, I was training hard, eating clean. I actually thought I was doing everything in my power to try and move the scale, but nothing changed until I understood the law of detachment. So this is guy number 1 versus guy number 2. Now, this guy number 1 is chasing the outcome. This one, he's holding himself to the standard. And the difference is incomparable with the results. And you think, well, how is that possible? Well, they're doing the same thing. They're actually doing the same thing. They've been training the same, they're following the same nutrition plan, they're the same body weight, same height, but one's getting results and one isn't. So how do we actually figure this out? Well, I'm actually coming back from a spinal injury right now. I've been out of training, I haven't been able to move as much for the past 4 months. I've had 3 herniated discs in my lower back, causing severe nerve pain. It's been absolutely horrible. Severe sciatica running down my back, and I haven't been able to train, and it's really caused me to feel out of alignment. Now, over the past 4 months, before I got the green light to train again, I'm back in the gym now, thankfully, thank you God. But you know, going through this injury, I was extremely out of alignment with myself, because the gym was my outlet and it kept me sane. The gym is my purpose, it's my job, it's my career, it's my business, right? This is what I do. I love serving my clients, I love changing people's lives. But when I picked up this injury, I didn't have the gym as my outlet, right? And that caused me to feel really out of alignment with myself. Now, through this injury, instead of just taking time off and just relaxing, reducing stress levels, I will admit, for the first month or 2, I was trying to push more. I was trying to chase. I was trying to chase because I was operating at a low frequency due to the nerve pain, right? I woke up every day a little bit stressed, and my day was just, I really just wasn't operating at the level that I wanted to operate as. So instead of just relaxing, right, because I was operating at a low frequency, I found myself in a stress state. I was a little bit emotional, and I was almost just constantly in this fight or flight state, always operating at a low frequency. Now, instead of actually just deciding to take time and just understanding that I need to rest, what did I do? I was trying to push more. I took some time off from the gym, but I was always making emotional decisions. I found myself really having to tug onto it and really trying to pull the results. And for the effort, for the grind that I was putting in, it felt incredibly heavy. Nothing was moving the needle. And it was because I'd lost my edge. Right? I wasn't operating at the frequency that I was operating at, and the actions that I was taking on a day-to-day basis never actually matched the identity of the man that I was before I got the injury, but also the man that I'm trying to become. And this is a really big issue that I see a lot of guys making the mistake of. They're trying to push hard with the training, trying to push hard with their nutrition, but they don't actually understand, or know at least, who they're trying to become along the way. And you know, if you're trying to get a 6-pack, if you're trying to get leaner, but you don't know how that man is supposed to operate every single day, then you know, you can push as much as you want, but you'll find that the results are going to be extremely heavy, and you're going to be finding yourself trying to really tug on this load here to actually see some form of ROI. Now here we have guy number 2, same guy, same body weight, okay, pretty much the same person. But the only difference is, instead of trying to chase, instead of trying to pull, what's he done? He's detached from the outcome that he wants to achieve, and he is attracting, okay? He's focused on his identity. He's detached from the final outcome. Let's say, for example, it's a 6-pack, right? Let's say, for example, it's building a successful business. He's detached from the final outcome because he knows that the outcome that he wants is on the other side of just keeping a high standard and following through on the non-negotiables and the micro habits every single day, which is going to allow him to just naturally attract the abundance and the wins and the success that he wants. So instead of trying to chase, right, operating out of a low frequency, rushing, panicking, acting out of emergency almost. This guy is just, he's chill. He's waking up every single day in just peace, pure peace. Because he knows that what he did yesterday ticked the boxes. He understands that in order to achieve the success that he wants, this needs to come first. The internal needs to come first, right? And if we're not optimizing our body, if we're not optimizing our frequency, our mind in a way where we're ready to attack the day, but also we can operate in a much more calm state and make smarter, wiser decisions, all the results are going to flow. One word: magnetic. Okay? Now coming out of the back end of this injury and I'm getting back to where I was, all of a sudden, this is starting to appear. I've gone from guy number 1 to guy number 2. Because instead of stressing over really what I couldn't control, you know, I was trying to control the uncontrollables. I was injured, I couldn't train. There was only so much that I could do on a day-to-day basis. Instead of doing that, I've detached from the outcome, right? But I've focused, first of all, before I got back in the gym, the most important thing was coming out of the back end of this injury was, who am I going to become now that I'm able to perform again? Who do I actually want to become in 6 months' time, in 12 months' time? And what I mean by this is, I don't just want to feel more confident. I don't just want to just have a six-pack and look more attractive and all of this stuff, right? That's a byproduct. I'm sure you've heard of the expression, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? And the problem that I see so many guys doing is they're trying to rush the process. They're trying quick fixes. They'll get in the gym and after a week, if they don't see any progress after the first few days, they quit. They just decide that it's not for them. But they need to understand that in order to achieve their dream physique, in order for them to become the man that they want to be, in order for them to achieve their dream identity, first, we need to get super clear on who we want to become, but also who we need to become in the process to achieve the desired outcome. Because if you haven't visualized the identity and the man that you want to become, to the actual habits that that man needs to do every single day and the standards that he needs to hold, becoming that guy worthy of the six-pack, worthy of the success, the career, the business, the money, the girlfriend, whatever it may be, is virtually impossible. Because the guy that you're trying to become, you don't even know what that looks like. You don't even know how he needs to act. So in order to become the guy, first we have to get super clear, like crystal clear on the image that we want. And then once we've done that, once we understand who we actually want to become, what are the standards that this man is going to hold on a regular basis? What are the non-negotiables that he does on a daily basis? Because there's a difference between this guy and this guy. This guy wakes up every single morning, right? And he understands that going for a walk for 30 minutes is just part of who he is. It's not for the calorie burn, it's not to punish himself, it's just part of who he is. This guy, he wakes up in the morning, he scrolls on his phone, he snoozes his alarm. I've got to go for a walk. You see the difference? You're trying to chase the outcome, but rushing the process and not actually enjoying who you are becoming along the way. Now, just coming back to my spinal injury, now that I've come out of the back end of it and I'm training again, I'm moving again, before I started any of this, the first thing for me was getting super clear on who I wanted to become, because I knew that in order for me to actually flip the switch and start attracting and start actually achieving the success that I want in the future and the physique that I want, I need to know who I'm becoming along the way and the standard that I need to hold every single day. Because if you do not have your identity knuckled down, then anything in life is going to feel like a punishment. Because you don't actually know who you're becoming. You don't know who you want to become. You just want a six-pack. You just want to feel more confident. But 90% of the time, the why that is tied to your goal is never deep enough. 9 times out of 10, the reason why so many guys fail diets, fail training plans is because once they actually reach their desired goal, maybe they're leaner, maybe they've lost 20 or 30 kilos, they're like, well, what now? They've achieved their final result, but because they didn't actually know who they wanted to become along the way, because they didn't know who the man that was behind all of this, they put all the weight back on. Because it's not something which they could sustain. They didn't image the guy that they wanted to become. So maintaining that routine is just complete alien to them, nothing else. So just to recap, right? In order to actually start seeing the progress that you want in life of your fitness, your physique, your business, your career, First of all, the first step is just getting super clear on your identity, the man that you're trying to become. If we're just trying to aim for a six-pack to feel more confident, once you do achieve that goal, you'll lose it because you don't understand who actually is the man internally. You've got the six-pack, you feel leaner, but the routine that you've been following was never attached to an identity that you wanted to claim. Once you've got super clear on your identity, brother, holding the standard every day is so easy because you know that the outcome that you want, a level of abundance, success, peace, purpose, and he's got that lean, confident, aesthetic physique, it's just a byproduct of the man that he's becoming. If you just detach from the final result and put your focus into an identity, once you visualize the man that you're trying to become, and you know your purpose, you know your mission, and you know what that man would do on a daily basis, becoming that guy is actually really, really easy. I'm not saying it is easy, right? But it's going to be far much easier than trying to get into shape to try and achieve the success that you want if you don't actually know who you're becoming along the journey. And this is exactly how I've helped over 350 busy men get into the best shape of their life and actually achieve the success that they want. Just like my client Josh, a corporate man working more than 50 hours a week, he's got into the best shape of his life. He's at peace with himself internally, and he's just moved to a completely new state. And that is all because he got super clear on the identity, he got super clear on his mission, and he focused on holding the standard every single day. And that is what we coach at AWF. We don't just focus on training, nutrition, we focus on your identity, your purpose, your mission as a man. Because in my opinion, from my years of personal development, from going through journeys and vices and setbacks myself, the training and nutrition, it's all right. But once you know the man that you're trying to become along the way, getting in shape becomes so much easier. In order to achieve the results that you want, detach from the outcome, stop trying to chase the result, hold the standard on a daily basis once you have got super clear on the man and the identity that you are trying to work towards. None of this is a problem. And listen, if you are finding yourself in the rut of training, eating clean, pushing more, but you're just not seeing any results, then I actually have a link in my description where you can book a one-to-one call with myself. We'll talk about your number one goal, your number one struggle. We'll get super clear on your identity and we'll give you a game plan to help you achieve your goals. Other than that, I'll leave you there. I'd appreciate it if you hit like, drop a comment, subscribe. Catch you in the next one.